I like that.
Dangerous.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We are good to go. All right. Welcome in, everybody. Energy is not the same as normal. We suck. So we're going to recap the Raiders game. Yay! We're going to preview the Dolphins game. Yay! And then we're going to fill you in on the Broncos news that's been going on. Yay! What's going on, everybody?
Hey.
I pulled my notes up here, but that was for last week, so that doesn't really help me much.
Do we need notes, really?
I don't think I want notes. I didn't even keep them on my phone because I was so angry the whole time. No,
yeah,
we are.
I wrote all the good things from the last game.
Yeah, I'll post it.
You had that many notes?
Yeah.
No, we're streaming live every Thursday. We go live on Facebook, on YouTube, and on Twitter. We also have Twitch. Yeah,
How's
same as last week.
along?
I don't know. I don't even think I remember the password to get in. So I'll figure that out one of these days when I have time. But make sure you head to our YouTube page, subscribe, leave us comments, especially 6'10". People like to leave him angry messages, and that's really funny to read. Follow us on.
But remember, he's bigger than you, so
that's true. You got me by like a foot. Follow us on Facebook. You can also follow us on Twitter at MHRT Podcast. So let's
you know
Raiders
what?
Game. We'll just whatever. Raiders game.
The barking was appropriate because that was a dog of a game.
Yeah,
Oh,
that was
crap.
a dog of a game.
And
Pretty tough.
Like even the fourth quarter, like when you expect them to, over the last two games, you're like, oh yay, we're gonna come back in the fourth. No, we didn't do anything in the fourth. Little bit.
It progressively
It was like a
got
little
worse as we went along. It was rough.
And Go ahead.
Go ahead. I was gonna say I think I watched the game 3 times, and I don't know why, but
Why?
I was just hoping like to watch it one time and see something good.
Watch
But
it
honestly,
and be like, oh, it's not over. They made a mistake.
Well, no, like I was just looking for anything, that was good. Any little light that was good. And if we did have them, they were overshadowed by, something bigger that was not working out for us. So
Yeah, I keep trying to pinpoint things that went wrong. And there's so many things that went wrong, but you can't really like pinpoint it on a specific area. Like the offensive line was not good, but it wasn't really the tackles. Like Anderson seemed to hold up okay. Bowles was normal. Glasgow was terrible. Cushenberry was terrible, which is why we couldn't really get any running going. But at the same time, Lindsey only had 4 carries. So that was stupid. The wide receivers didn't look bad. I mean, Judy looked pretty good. Hamill looked pretty good. Patrick was starting to get into a rhythm. So, that's good. Defense just – and I don't think the defense played that bad. They were just out there forever.
Mm-hmm.
So they were exhausted. So, yeah, they're going to give up yards and points. They were out there like 55 minutes out of 60-minute game.
Right.
How many plays did the offense have in the third? Wasn't it like 3 or 4 plays?
Yeah, they only had like 2.5 minutes on the field in the third quarter.
Mm-hmm.
It was 3, yeah.
Yeah, how do you expect the defense to hold up? I mean, the steel curtain couldn't be out there that long and
right.
keep things under control.
Yep.
Yeah, this was a game that was. Oh, sorry, Chrissy. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, this is a game that you can kind of, if you're a Broncos fan like myself, you can kind of imagine that every single Raider fan circled on their calendar because they remember what happened last year to them in Denver, especially since we kept reminding them that, the last time the Raiders played as Oakland, they lost to the Denver Broncos. So that was all in good fun. And this game was just kind of like rubbing it in your face type of scenario where everything that could go wrong did go wrong.
Especially
Starting with
Devontae Booker.
Yeah. Starting with special teams to certain parts of our defense, the offense. And when I look back at the interceptions that Julock made,
Mark,
sorry, that's my dog.
Giving the Raiders crap is what it's doing.
When you look back at his second interception, I kind of thought to myself, what if Julock was thinking about what everybody on social media and maybe his coaches were telling him last week? Because last week we were getting on Julock and the coaching staff for not being aggressive and not going for it, And to me, those second, third, and even the fourth intercept, well, not so much the fourth one, but the second and third one at the most, kind of felt like he was forced just to try to prove a point. Because going into halftime, the Broncos weren't down by that much. If they would have kicked the field goal, we would have been behind by 1 point. So yeah, it sucks that on the previous play, the holding by Noah Fant recalled that what should have been a touchdown. But on the same note, there should have been no way that Julock should have fired a bullet down the middle, knowing that the middle of almost every single end zone is usually the one that's the most covered, even when it looks open. And it was just a bad call on Julock's behalf. I think that him playing with bruised ribs only made it worse. I'm not trying to use it as an excuse for the way that he played, but I've never played quarterback, but I can only imagine that trying to throw a football when your ribs are killing you is not the easiest thing to do. So unfortunately, this was supposed to be the game for Julock to have put the silence on the haters or whatever, but instead this was just one huge regression on his behalf. And now what seemed for him for a hill to climb is now a mountain. So
right. Well, and I think what you said is correct. That he's thinking, it's in his head what everybody's thinking, what everybody's saying. And he even said it in his interview that he has to keep going out there and being aggressive. And that the coaches are telling him keep being aggressive. And it was like that in the game where it seemed like he was just trying to do what everyone expected of him, what everybody was hoping that he would do. And even when he was out there playing, he was playing hurt. And, he's got a lot on his shoulders right now as a young quarterback. And there's no excuse for it. He should be doing better, but it's tough. He's a young kid, and you can see in his interviews, he's a young kid, and the answers that he gives are of a very raw young guy trying to learn and find his way. And it sucks, but I'm still holding out hope for him. I don't know. I don't want to go back to the drawing board.
Me neither.
You go ahead, Glenn, because I'm going to take a little bit.
That second interception was a killer. The fact that we were only down by 10-6. I mean, Drew led a great drive, and that's what any of the positives get completely erased when something like that happens. I mean, a terrible decision to make a hold cost us a 13-10 lead at the half and kicking off. But I mean, another thing that was to our disadvantage too during that game was that, I mean, right at the start, the fielding that deciding to stop and the field position was just never in our favor. It was a tough road right from the get-go. We didn't do ourselves any favors, and we complain about Tom McMahon all the time, and I don't understand. I mean, he gives the same answers about having to get better all the time. It was, it's kind of getting a little exhausting, us trying to figure out what's going on. And,
right.
And just this season hurts more than the others, because there were real expectations going into this, real talent on the roster, a lot of young talent, a lot of, like Christy used the term raw, and it's so perfect. A lot of raw talent. And when VJ was a coach, he just didn't think that a lot was going to necessarily happen. We were just plodding through. We were getting good draft spots. But this year's a year that we really thought we were going to break through and hang tough with, finish second behind the Chiefs, hopefully in the division, get that coveted playoff spot. And unfortunately, it's not worked out. I still am pushing hard for Drew. I would like him to. I see that he could be the guy, but it's. I feel like he's really under a lot of pressure, and just the way he's carrying himself now is a lot different than he was at the beginning of the season.
Well, and one of the things I keep trying to figure out is why do they keep running it out of the end zone on the kickoff? Like, let it go. Take it to the 25. Stop running it out.
I mean, you have to believe that every one of those players, when they catch that ball and they have to return it, it's like almost when you see that play, you could I bet you anything that guy thought he could do something that you can only do in Madden. Where it's like you spin move, like everybody goes to the left, you spin move, and then you have the right wide open. Because that's exactly what that looked like.
And then they get smashed on the 2-yard line, and we're screwed for the whole drive. Like, stop running
backwards.
Yeah.
You do the one thing you're never supposed to do is go backwards. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
And that's just, I mean, we're pointing out all these things that are going wrong, and this is why I mean, I'm going to call it like I see it, and I know a lot of people are going to disagree with me, but it just comes down to one thing, and it's coaching, and it's having it. It starts at the top and it works its way down. And when that team came out on that field, you could tell that it wasn't prepared. They weren't prepared. They were sloppy. There was fouls. I mean, the list just drops down and it keeps rolling out the door of all of the things that are happening that all relate back to coaching. It doesn't look like there's any type of leadership. We had bad play calls. It was just something from everybody. And for this team to work, as young as they are, everybody is going to have to help everybody else do their job. Just like you said, let's run it out, run the ball out. Let's help Drew Lock as much as we can. He needs the help right now. Let's get it out there. And it's just not happening. There's nobody there to take the lead and say, go, you have to do it.
Okay, we'll grab this one real quick. Man. Okay.
Get out of here,
Mr. Boggins. I want to go on to this one, then I'll talk about it a little bit, and then we'll kind of go around and see what everybody thinks. Boggins, Locke needs more than 1 year in the system. He doesn't have the same football smarts that a Rippon, Simeon, or Manning have. Needs to lock down a system so he can spend more time on mechanics. I half agree, and Glenn and I kind of talked about this before, and we all have before. He does not have the football or I don't know if it's football smarts or just the knowledge to be able to read the defense and motion and shift, and that's the stuff that he's not good at. That a Rippon or a Manning have, and we talked about that. You can have all the talent in the world, but if you can't do the basics of going through your progressions and shifting the motion and shifting the line, picking up coverage, you're not gonna. It's gonna take so much longer to figure it out than it needs to. And then there's a lot of people that are like, "Wow, in 1983, Elway had this long," but it's not 1983. Like, quarterbacks get maybe a year and a half, maybe, and that's just how it is. You can look at, and I'm not comparing anybody to anybody, but you can look at Herbert, you can look at Burrow, you can look at, well, not Tua yet, but like the younger quarterbacks that came in and right away were, they weren't perfect, they looked like rookies, but they were a whole heck of a lot farther along than Drew Lock was. So I get wanting to have Drew Lock in a system to learn it for a while, But at the same time, if he's regressing like he has, something has to be done. I'm not saying to get rid of him. I'm not saying to bench him. But at the same time, there comes a point where you have to see, like, take for instance, this game coming up against the Dolphins. I don't necessarily think the Rippon's a better quarterback. I'm not really a fan of Rippon. But if he's able to go in there and read the defense and shift the line and read motions and go through his progressions and at least manage the game so that we're not shooting ourselves in the foot, then Locke kind of deserves to be in a quarterback controversy because he brought that on himself.
But if you think about it, Mike, the guy has talent. We've all been very excited about him coming into this season. We saw something there. If he's regressing, how do we totally pin it on him? I mean, it just
well, and that's one of the things that we kind of need to see, like, and that's why I'm torn on which quarterback I think should play, because I think Locke should play because he's a more talented quarterback. But at the same time, if Rippon goes in there and we're not making the same mistakes, the offense looks good, who's to blame then? Because you can't put that on Shermer. If there's no
if a talented guy is regressing,
who else can you put it on?
How is it not the coaching, the system, the offensive coordinator, the chemistry with the
and it could be that Drew Lock and Shermer just don't work together. That could be a thing. And we, we're not on the inside of it. We can't look and see like, okay, is, kind of like we talked about on the last podcast. Is it Drew Lock trying to adjust to Shermer and Shermer trying to adjust to Lock at the same time? And they're missing. Like, what's the problem? At the same time, the quarterback can help out the offensive line if he's able to move protections, sift protections, go through his progressions, trust his offensive line. Drew Lock had an average of over 2.5 seconds behind that line in the Raiders, but he would run himself into pressure.
And that's something that happens. It's a muscle memory. So he hasn't had a good line to trust. You don't just jump in and trust him after one game. I mean, this line has been having issues for a while. It's hard to just jump in there and say, okay, I'm going to trust you now. It takes playing together and actually showing him that, we're trustworthy, like trust us, because obviously he's injured. He was on the ground. He had more green on his jersey than anything else. I mean, and then you say you don't want to compare quarterbacks, and you're using examples like Herbert and Tua.
Well, I'm not comparing Locke to them. I'm just saying, like, rookies, they're going in there and succeeding,
right?
Instead of having to be patient.
Right. And as rookies, they're doing great and they're succeeding. But also Drew Lock went in and he succeeded last season too. But then he came back this season and he's regressing. So you can't say, oh, next season Herbert's going to come back and he's going to be, even better. You can't say that because he's still a rookie and we don't know. This is what happens with rookie quarterbacks is everyone gets film on them and they see what they do wrong and then they utilize everything they can to make them look bad. And that's what they do in the NFL. That's what you're supposed to do.
And I definitely agree. Like, coaching wise, we're bottom of the pack. Like, I don't like Fangio. Maybe as a defensive coordinator. Maybe. Yeah. I'm more okay with Shermer than some people are, and that's just because I think it's a mix of both. But here, this is why I keep struggling with the quarterbacks that I want to play against the Dolphins. I want Drew Lock because I believe that he is the more talented quarterback. He's the one that potentially could lead us farther than any other quarterback on the roster. But if Rippon fits Shermer's scheme or offensive plan or whatever it is that he does, if Rippon fits it better and succeeds better under Shermer, how do you not keep Rippon in there?
But Mike, here's the problem. I'm sorry, Christy.
No, go ahead. You're going to say the same thing that I'm going to say.
You have what we thought going into the season as our franchise quarterback, right? The whole draft was all the moves were supporting Drew Lock. So how do you not make the offensive coordinator tailor his plan to the franchise quarterback's skill set.
He did.
Who has an arm. No, he hasn't.
He did. Like the
the
offensive scheme that they're running right now is almost exactly the one they ran in Missouri. It favors a shotgun. It favors the spread out wide receivers. It is. That's exactly what Drew Lock is good at, and he's not succeeding at it.
Except they're asking.
So
except they're asking him.
So how many more
him
times
to do
does Sherman need
different.
to adjust things?
Well, until it works. That he's supposed to be the guy,
Okay,
the guru.
But I get that. But they're playing to Drew Lock's strengths. Like the offensive running is what Drew Lock is supposed to be good at. The problem is not so much the scheme, it's the decision making. Right. It's the throwing it into triple coverage when you don't have to. Right. It's the, oh crap, this play went bad. Now I've got to overcompensate and chuck it down the field. So that's why I'm a little bit higher on Shermer than I am some people, because I think a lot of it has to do with Locke just not being that good of a quarterback. And I'm sorry, like he's got talent, but if you look from the beginning of the season to right now, go ahead and tell me what shows you that he's a starting quarterback. That's what I thought.
No,
there isn't anything.
That seems like a silly question to me.
How?
How?
He's a starting quarterback in the NFL, and he's the worst rated starting quarterback in the NFL.
Well, he's got the worst coaching that he could ever possibly get.
And he's got one of the most talented rosters in the NFL. Take this for example.
Talented as in
that we kept.
New?
Let's say
new
we
talent?
kept the exact roster we have now. We have the exact coaching we have now, and we put Patrick Mahomes in a quarterback. What's our record?
That's a terrible.
No. What's our record? Put Aaron Rodgers in there, Drew Brees in there, Josh Allen in there.
If you put Patrick Mahomes in there, he's going to be flat on his back because the offensive line couldn't even keep even the best running quarterback standing up.
I guarantee you that with Patrick Mahomes or an Aaron Rodgers or Justin Herbert, or we get 10 wins.
Justin Herbert is 2-7.
Guarantee it.
Give me a break, dude.
Look at the talent around.
How many losses do the Chargers have to have? The guy throws a great pass. Okay, how many losses before we say this guy sucks? Okay, that he's not a good quarterback in the NFL.
Okay, so how many bad stats and how many losses before you say Drew Lock sucks?
Well, he sucked.
No. You're
already saying that.
No. 3-6. Go ahead and tell me how many losses that Drew Lock needs before you say he sucks, because Justin Herbert sucks.
I'm not saying Locke is having a stellar season and that everything is everything's sunshine, lollipops, and rainbows, but it seems like the guy that everybody brings up as being the man is Herbert. And you know what? I shouldn't say this before we go in the game against Tua, because it'll guarantee that he'll throw for 425 and 6 touchdowns. But he threw for less than 100 yards in the blowout against the Rams. That had nothing to do with the offense. Even Fangio today was saying they had a short field the whole game. He wasn't being disrespectful. He was saying very favorable things about the Dolphins and about Tua. But the guy's averaging like less than 180 yards passing a game. I'm not saying he's terrible, but I mean, we got to put it into perspective. What other team aside from the Niners have had the injuries that we have? And injuries, when you have such a young team, it's just very frustrating. Listen, I'm not an idiot. I know I see the mistakes. It drives me absolutely crazy, but Mike, I pulled the list of free agent quarterbacks available for next year.
Yeah.
I mean, terrible.
Yeah.
Terrible options.
Well, and the whole point that I was making, and I didn't get this point from myself. I got it from a gentleman whose name is Zach Kilberman, and he's on Mile High Huddle. And he said that if you took Locke out and put Mahomes in, guaranteed 10 wins. What does that say? If all we have to change out is the quarterback to get 10 wins, what does that say?
Okay. Well, it says that you're just taking a really, really good quarterback and banking
getting rid
on
of a sucky quarterback.
Well, but he doesn't suck. He's
yes,
learning.
he does.
He's learning. You can't
He's
take a quarterback
terrible.
that's been doing this for a while and just throw him. It's the same thing as Peyton Manning. Do you want just a good quarterback for a couple years and then he's done? Or do you want a franchise guy that you're going to have to, kind of push him along and hang in there with him and learn?
I want a guy that can read a defense. I want a guy that can.
Well, he has to
line.
learn.
Could he read
learn?
defenses
How
last year?
does he not learn that? He was doing it last year. So
Then
you're
what happened?
telling me that he just forgot? Because
No.
coaching doesn't make you forget.
Well, it does
Right?
if you're not practicing it.
Okay, so I learned how to ride a bike, so I'm going to forget how to do it because I don't ride it anymore.
That's a whole different thing.
It's not like you learned how to pick out a defense. It's not like oh, that's this defense. Oh nope, they made it look different. Like it's still the freaking read the defense. You know where the blitzer's coming from, and if you don't, you shouldn't be in there.
Well,
I get that he's got arm talent. I get that he's the most talented quarterback on the roster. But from week 1 till now, he has not proven that he can be a starting quarterback in the NFL. So do I think there should be a quarterback controversy if Rippon plays this week and plays well? Yeah, I do. Why would you hand it back to Locke with what we've seen this year?
Because we all know that Rippon isn't a franchise quarterback, and we're looking for a franchise quarterback. So we want to see what Locke has.
So
we don't want to just throw him to the side and say, "Okay, Rippon, you're just going to be the guy to win us games," but we still have Locke over here in the corner, and he's not learning nothing right now.
Okay,
except that he sucked last week.
But again, if, like I said earlier, if Rippon goes in there and he plays well, and he plays well against a top 5 defense, how do you take him out and put Locke back in there after what we've seen from Locke? Like, if he plays well against a top 5 defense, how do you take him out? Because then you're going to be like, oh, you should have left Rippon in there. That's bad coaching. How do you take him out if he plays well against a top 5 defense?
Well, I mean, you could say that the other way too. People are gonna say, "Oh, why is Drew out? He's such, he can't hang. He can't hang in there." And I mean, it just goes either way. But what we're looking for is a bigger picture here. We all know that Rippon isn't a franchise quarterback. He's just not.
How?
He just isn't.
How?
He doesn't have the arm strength.
Neither did Peyton Manning.
Peyton Manning could throw some bombs.
No, Peyton Manning did not have the arm strength. The reason why he was so good is because he was so smart.
Yeah.
Peyton Manning was not the most talented quarterback in the NFL. He was less talented than Ryan Leaf.
Okay, so
talent means
keep Rippon in.
Ryan Leaf was the more talented quarterback. Peyton Manning was the smarter quarterback.
Okay, so keep
Manning went
in there.
first.
Let him stay in there.
We're breaking into houses. Ryan Leaf.
You can throw talent out there at me all you want, but Peyton Manning was not the most talented quarterback in the NFL.
Okay,
neither is Tom Brady, for that matter.
Well, that's just exactly what we're saying here. Is how do you just toss these guys out when we all know that they all have? You're one to just toss Drew out. Like, you're ready.
No,
your flags have been flying for a long time.
I'm saying that if Rippon plays better than Drew Lock against a top 5 defense, how do you take him out?
It's easy. You tell Rippon, "Hey, Rippon, you're out."
Thank you, Max.
And then we go back to what we've been getting from Drew Lock. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
well, I mean, do we want to see?
Because Drew Lock is the guy that's fighting for his job. That's what you're not understanding,
Mike. Terrible job at it.
Right. Okay, that's on him. It's not on Brett Rippon.
That's my point. You just made my point.
You can't expect Brett Rippon to go in there and not play like he played against the Jets. Okay? The Jets. Remember the Jets, the guy that threw for 3 interceptions?
Why would I expect him
Jerry
to play
Jeudy
different?
saved him on that play?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's just do this. Let's just say,
no, I'm just saying to Mike's point, because Mike is like, oh, he might. What if he goes out there and he plays great against Miami? It's like, dude.
Let's go to the comments, especially that last one.
Which one? This one?
Yep.
It says he loves me because I sound like a crazy person. Because I am. Like, y'all are saying like I'm bashing Drew Lock. I'm not. He's bashing himself with the way he's playing.
Mike, if
all I'm saying is like, okay, so Drew Lock, I am capitulating that he is the most talented quarterback on the roster. But if he's not the smartest quarterback and he plays worse than Rippon, why would you put him back in there over Why would you put Locke back in there over Rippon if Rippon plays better than Locke? That doesn't make any sense.
Because that would make
you're
John Elway look like an idiot.
Oh, he's got more talent. Who cares?
No, but you know
if he's got more talent, but he's losing, who cares?
Do you think there's any chance we make a playoff spot? Any chance?
No.
At all, no matter who's in quarterback. Okay.
No.
Then why don't you play out the rest of the season and make sure what to do? You can't make an educated decision on how to move forward next year, either status quo or looking elsewhere. You don't put in the second string quarterback, and I have no disrespect towards Brett. He's supposed to be coaching material smart, but you have to play it out. We're committed to Locke this year, and you see what happens.
Yeah.
But we're not talking about replacing Locke when he's healthy. Like, he's not going to play this week potentially because of a rib injury, which is going to affect his throwing, which already has been erratic. So I'm saying if he's not going to play this week because of injury and he gets outplayed by Rippon, how do you take Rippon out and justify it? Like, oh, we're going to take this quarterback that's been playing terrible, is the worst quarterback in the NFL, and replace him. We're going to put him.
If the Broncos do that,
back in there.
If the Broncos do that, they're literally giving up on Drew Lock, just like you are.
Just like they do every single time.
Yeah, that's what that means.
What gives me a reason to believe that Drew Lock is going to get any better? Did he get better? Did he get better between the Raiders game and the game before that?
No.
You have to.
No, he got worse. And it wasn't even against a good defense. The Raiders are okay.
The Falcons, he didn't play all that bad. He had one interception. But the Raiders game was terrible. The Chiefs game was terrible, but at the same time, it was because of weather. That one was because of weather. I give him that much.
Yep. Weather.
But
no, it had to do with the Chiefs. Come on.
But at the same time, if you take Locke out and put in Rippon, and you know that the season you're not going to be in the playoffs, why would you want to keep winning then?
Okay, so here
would you rather just win, or would you rather see what needs to go next with Drew Lock, or do we want to play this out again next season?
Yeah, I agree.
I don't. But this is what I'm saying. So, like, if Brett Rippon plays well, how do you not find out what you have in Brett Rippon for the future? Tell me how. I mean, you all think that he's hot garbage, and if he plays like hot garbage, get rid of him.
No one said that.
If
he's not garbage at all.
If he's not better than Drew Lock, then don't put him back in there. But what I'm saying is if he plays better than Drew Lock, how do you not put him in a quarterback competition and see what you have in Rippon for next year?
You would put Brett Rippon as the starter for the Denver Broncos next season.
Who do you want? Do you want to trade for Sam Darnold? Do you want to bring Joe Flacco back?
Dude, I'm trying not to avoid to go back to the quarterback carousel that this team got stuck in for the last 5 freaking years. That's what I'm trying to avoid. All right. And I know you and everybody on social media wants to dive right back into the sand and get lost. And let's see what we have with Justin Fields. Let's see what we have with Trevor Lawrence. Let's see what we have with
those two.
Yeah,
I know we're not. That's the worst part about this.
Those two are gone, and there's nothing else.
And knowing John Elway, he'd probably go for like veteran quarterback, another Peyton Manning 3.0 with, Cam Newton or whoever the hell shows up. And it's like, I don't want that, dude. I don't want that. I would much rather take my luck with Locke. And if Locke loses and he sucks next year, okay, at least we know and we tried. Rather than just keep switching with these quarterbacks.
And then we lost out on all those quarterbacks. That's the point.
What quarterbacks?
What quarterbacks? The quarterback class next year is trash compared to the quarterback class this year. So why would you wait another year and get trash? And then you're forcing Elway to go get a veteran.
So you would force your hand and you'd have to trade up. So who would you trade?
No, you don't have to trade up. You can wait and get Trey Lance. He's not Kyle Wilson. Kyle Wilson is Drew Lock 2.0.
And then you're back at square one with another project.
Yeah, we're back to square one. And then next year you'll be sitting on that seat. It's like, Pat Shermer's garbage. Trey,
that's who I want. I want him right there. Go ahead and give me Fitz magic for a year or two and let a rookie learn. Let Drew Lock learn. I don't care.
So you want to give him a year? You want to give this
there.
guy? You want to give this guy Fitz magic a year or two, but you don't want to give Drew Lock a year or two?
Playing like he's playing? Absolutely not.
Okay.
Why would you want
You don't
to
know
put
how
in,
this. You don't know how this guy's gonna play.
Put in Fitzpatrick? I mean, he was winning with the Dolphins. He was winning last year with the Dolphins.
You're right, Brandon.
And he was winning the year before that.
Totally.
He's still there.
Did he get dropped on his head when he was a kid? Like, what happened?
Paint chips.
You guys are wanting to roll with the worst quarterback in the NFL.
For the rest of the season, we're saying you got to play it out.
I didn't say not to. I said put him in a quarterback competition.
Well,
if you're going to put him in a quarterback competition, you got to put him with somebody that's better than him.
And oh my God.
Brett Rippon is not better than Drew Lock.
Climb up you and smack you.
Go ahead.
I just said if
Brett Rippon is not better than Drew Lock.
Oh my God. If Rippon plays better than Lock, you have to put him in a quarterback competition. That's the fourth time I've said that. If Rippon plays better than Lock, you have to put them in a quarterback competition. Do I need to record that, rewind it, and play it back again?
I need you to tell me
Brett Rippon plays better than Lock, you have to put him in a quarterback competition.
What
you got
tell
that?
me what in your mind makes you think that Brett Rippon is better than Drew Lock?
He's smarter than Drew Lock.
Okay. So those three interceptions he threw in the Jets game. Not on him, right?
Right now.
When was the last time? Okay. No. I'm going to use your guys' excuse. Oh, it was his first start. He's supposed to look bad.
No one said he was supposed to look bad.
Three interceptions on his very first start. Yeah, he's going to look bad. But how many times did he get sacked?
3-4 times?
1.
Maybe 5?
1.
I
already looked it up. I already looked it up. 1. You know why? Because he can adjust the line. He can adjust his protection.
Because Dotson was in.
Dotson's been in too. The only game he wasn't in was the last one. And Locke still sucked before that.
I mean, you can't say that he sucked.
Who sucked? Locke?
Let me ask you this, Mike. In the game the other day, what did you when the Broncos had the ball? What did you think they were going to do?
When?
On Sunday.
Which time? They had the ball a lot.
They ran the ball like hardly any.
Yeah.
It was so obvious.
Yeah, and that's Shermer's fault. That's because he's stupid.
So when it's so predictable, I mean, Locke had almost as many rushing attempts as Lindsay. I mean, it's insane. Right. It was so predictable that it's target practice when a line is playing like garbage.
Yep.
But okay, but I'm not disagreeing with you.
So put Rippon in there with the same plays
we're
with Shermer calling the same crap.
We're arguing the same thing. Like I agree.
Yeah.
Dude, he hasn't gotten a fair shake. All I was saying is that if Rippon goes in there with the same thing and he plays better than Locke, how do you not put him in a quarterback competition with Drew Lock? You don't just hand it back to Drew Lock. Because then there's no excuse. If Rippon plays better under the same circumstances as Locke, less starting time, less time with the first team offense, and he's got the same offensive line, he's got the same coach, he's got the same defense, playing the same team. If he plays better than Locke, how do you just give the job back to Locke?
Because he is the guy they built the whole team around. Do you understand? You got to play it out. It's so silly to be.
I'm not saying to not put Locke back in there. I'm saying
if you don't
go into a competition,
if
you can't just give him the start.
If you don't put Locke back in there, if you say, here, Rippon, you got the job now for the rest of the season. Locke, sit down. You're never going to know what Locke has. And this is going to keep going on it's going to bleed into next season. And then you're going to have Rippon as your starting quarterback, and you're not going to have any quarterbacks in the draft. So you're going to have Locke as a backup quarterback, whatever the guy's name is, Doofus, Dingle, or whatever his name is. Driscoll. Driscoll.
Oh, I like Doofus better. Let's stick with that one.
Like,
I'm glad she didn't mix Dingle and Cushenberry together. That would...
I mean, you're going to be in the same predicament. Same thing. You have to let him play out the rest of the season. It's the only way you're going to know. If he's hurt this game, he's hurt. Let's let him get better, and let's bring him back out so that we can see exactly what this kid needs. So maybe he needs a different coach.
So just to be clear, if Rippon plays better than Locke, you put Locke back in there anyways.
Yes. He's the backup quarterback stepping in.
He is the backup quarterback.
I hope everybody heard that. They want the Broncos to suck so that Drew Lock can play.
But what if Drew Lock comes back and he starts playing better?
We all agreed that they're not going to make the playoffs this year.
Yeah.
So
it's a dress rehearsal for the future.
Right.
Okay, but if so tell me this. Let's say you go to work and someone is performing better than you, but you get promoted over them. Why? They were better than you, right? It doesn't work that way. If Locke gets outplayed by another quarterback on the roster, the better quarterback should play. That's how it's supposed to work. That's how it works. If Locke is not the best quarterback on the roster, he doesn't start.
So when Gary Kubiak was backing up Elway and Elway gets hurt and Kubiak comes in on a Monday night against the Redskins and wins the game, did he have started the next week?
No, that is not the same situation.
Why not?
Because you're taking a Hall of Fame quarterback with multiple years of success behind him and comparing it to Drew Lock's situation. Drew Lock has not played like Elway. Drew Lock does not
even a Super Bowl win by the time that actually occurred. But anyway,
he didn't have a Super Bowl win until he was 37.
Exactly.
But he'd been to 5. How many has Drew Lock been to?
How long did that take him?
How many games has Drew Lock won? That is not the same situation.
I'm just using it as an example of what the role of a
terrible example.
No, it's not. It's a role of a backup quarterback.
Okay,
they go in.
No, here. How about this?
Thank you very much.
How about when Drew Bledsoe got hurt and Tom Brady came in? Tom Brady played well. Who cares? Put Drew Bledsoe back in there, right? That's what you're saying.
Who cares about Tom Brady?
No. Drew, no, you were trying to use Elway. So I'm saying Bledsoe got hurt.
Back.
Yeah, which was Tom Brady. He was the backup quarterback to Drew Bledsoe. He came in, he played better, he won the starting job. That's all I'm saying. If Brett Rippon plays better, he should earn the starting job. And you guys are arguing with me, saying that, nope, let's put the worst quarterback back in there.
He's not the worst quarterback.
He's not the worst.
If Rippon plays better than Locke, then Rippon is the better quarterback than Locke.
So
explain to me how I'm wrong.
So basically, you want Brett Rippon to keep playing in a season that's already lost.
If he plays better than Drew Lock,
right, in this one game. So let's say he wins on Sunday.
That's why you put them in a quarterback competition. Good Lord, I'm gonna have to.
Well, I'm
okay.
You're just gonna have to play the better quarterback, right? So you're playing the better quarterback. So we're gonna play Brett Rippon.
Right. If Brett Rippon's the better quarterback, play him.
Yeah, and you're already lost.
And you're arguing that, nope, let's put the worst quarterback back in there.
I'm trying to get an answer from you. If Brett Rippon goes out and plays fantastic on Sunday, do you go and say we're going to start Brett Rippon in the season where the Broncos already are out? They're not going to go to the playoffs.
Exactly.
Because if the Broncos do that, dude, they're literally telling Drew Lock, hey, you're not going to be on this team next year.
Who cares?
There is more.
You're the next Lynch.
Who cares?
Yeah.
Who cares?
You're not going to be on this team anymore. There's going to be, and one thing that John Elway does not like having is egg on his face. He's already had enough of that from the last couple of quarterbacks that he's hired. And Drew Lock is not going to go down like that, dude.
That was different. Bledsoe was hurt and Brady won in the playoffs, won the Super Bowl.
Frank.
Drew Lock is hurt. Drew Lock is hurt.
No, Drew Lock is hurt perhaps for one game. Bledsoe was he could have died as a result of that hit. He was out for several weeks and did come in and bail out at the end in the playoffs. Okay. So a lot different.
Not to mention New England was playing Drew Bledsoe $100 million freaking dollars, and you don't want your $100 million quarterback to ride the bench, no matter how good Tom Brady was playing.
He did ride the bench.
I know, until they decided to cut him.
And he never got his job back.
Yeah, because they were like,
I'm saying if Brett Rippon plays as the better quarterback
in one game,
you play the better
plan out in one game.
Who cares?
But the Brady thing, which is, I mean, we're talking about year 2001. Okay, Christy is lost her.
And you were talking about the 80s.
I was, dude, you're missing my point. The whole point was illustrating what the role of a backup quarterback is. Gary Kubiak knew he wasn't going to play the following week, just as Brett Rippon should know he is the second stringer.
Brett Rippon's already said that. He knows that. He said that last time he was thrown in.
That's what he's supposed to say.
Yeah, because he's
backup quarterback.
Because he's backup quarterback.
Of course, he wants to play, but the whole team is built around a second-round pick who's 23 years old. I mean, this is insane.
And he's wasting it. It's built around Drew Lock, and they're 3-6, and he's the worst-rated quarterback in the NFL.
He was out 3 games.
So explain to me how.
3 games.
Fine, he's still the worst-rated quarterback in the NFL. So explain to me how saying that the roster is built around him matters at all. Because he's not utilizing it.
My point is that you build around a guy because you see something in him. You don't make all of these. You don't draft wide receivers in the first 2 rounds with your 2 highest picks because you think the quarterback is a nightmare. You just don't do it.
Nobody thought that Drew Lock was a nightmare.
He's not.
He's not a nightmare.
There's something wrong.
Tell me how. How? Where's the good?
Dude,
if you say arm strength, I'm gonna slap you.
No, we've seen him play good, and we've seen him play much, much better.
When?
At the end of
last
season.
You said yourself last
year. A quarter here and there. Even last year, he wasn't that good. He played 2 good quarters against Houston, and he looked exactly the same as he did this year in every other game.
Earlier today, you said that
he didn't have Shermer. He had Skangs.
Earlier in the pod tonight, you mentioned that Locke was doing things better last year and had regressed this year.
Yeah.
Why is that?
You tell me.
Because he's not being guided in the proper fashion. The play calls are not. Is he making some boneheaded play? Absolutely. I'm not defending any of these bad passes. The KJ Hamler, I mean, you throw a high pass to the shortest guy on the field. I mean, my gosh.
But that's what I'm saying. Like,
but if
Rippon goes in there and plays well and doesn't have the offensive struggles that Locke does, how can you tell me that it's not Locke's fault?
Dress rehearsal. You can't. I mean, dude, we've been talking about this for 40
How do you tell me it's not Locke's fault?
If
Rippon plays well and he doesn't.
It's not just one person's fault, and we just got done saying that you can't put everything all on the shoulders of Drew Lock. He's literally a young kid that's learning how to play in the NFL. He's been given a crappy season of a patchwork of a team. There's no consistency. How do you learn behind an offensive line that you don't trust? You can't trust an offensive line if you've only played behind them a couple of times.
I knew you were going to.
He's hurt again.
Dude, I'm pulling up everyone I see.
First of all, I got to say to Richie before you read it, thank you so much for always being joining in the pod. But Mike, you can put that back up.
Where'd it go? Hold on, I gotta find
it. Frank has said the same thing I was about to say. The top guy, Sutton, out week 2, out for the year. I mean, can you these injuries? I know our guys are coming back. It's hard to make excuses with the injuries, but I mean, Locke was hurt for three games out of the 9. I mean, just all right.
Well, and like this whole thing is a moot point if Rippon sucks. So at that point, it doesn't really matter.
Will you still be pushing for Ryan Fitzpatrick?
Oh no.
I mean, that guy has more jerseys than I do.
That depends on how Drew Lock plays the next couple games.
Oh my gosh, that's.
I'd I don't want any veteran quarterback ever suiting up for Denver again. Joe Flacco was pretty
No.
much.
That was it for me.
Hey, he's going to be available in the offseason.
Yeah,
If
I'm
I want
sure
to
he
solve
is.
a Rubik's Cube, I call Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Joe Flacco was pretty much telling John Elway like, hey, I can be like, Peyton Manning 2.0. And no, you cannot. So we need to stop going into bringing in these. If you're bringing them in as backups, that's fine. I can get behind that because a veteran quarterback can guide somebody young, whether it's Locke or whoever the Broncos decide to get in the draft, should they go after a quarterback. But
I don't know
it's
why we're
just-
arguing this point in the first place, because it doesn't matter who you bring in. You're still gonna have Shermer calling the
Yeah.
plays, and they're
Yeah, I
all gonna be the
I don't-
same every week.
I don't think any coach is going to go anywhere.
And
I think we'll
you
say
also have to realize we're in one of the toughest divisions
Shermer's
in
outta
football. If we were in the NFC East, we'd be kings of the mountain right now. But
We are in
unfortunately,
third
we're
place,
not.
by the way.
We are in third place, but we have to deal with the defending Super Bowl Chiefs, those annoying Raiders, and the Chargers, who are just one good coach away from being an elite team or a really good team at that. Because I don't think Anthony Lynn is going to coach that team next year. But the thing is that out of all the teams, yeah, the Chiefs are dealing with injuries. Yeah, the Raiders are dealing with injuries, and so are the Chargers. But none of them, their offense has not been impacted as much as Denver. And the Chargers might be the only exception because we never got to see what Tyrod Taylor could do as a Charger. But I don't think he would have made such a great resume that Justin Herbert has made in terms of, showing flashes of what he can do on the offense. But, if it was the other way around and the Chiefs, Mahomes got hurt and he was out and, Tyreek Hill was out and Travis Kelce was out, they'd probably be in the same boat that we are in right now. And same thing for the Raiders.
I liked that last comment by Vic because
Sorry, I'm way up at the top looking.
it doesn't matter. I know what it says.
Scanning for people to agree with.
Yeah.
No, I'm trying to see.
He said that he would like to see Drew
Oh,
Lock
Lock
sit
and learn.
so he could learn. How do you sit and learn how to play football? You don't. There's no sitting and learning. You can sit and watch football and say, "Oh, I know how to do this better than that."
Aaron Rodgers.
Brock Osweiler.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Rodgers didn't come in and then you put him back out to sitting.
No, he sat for like 3-4
Brett Favre.
years.
So we're looking at Drew Lock's performance, and we're saying that he's falling short and it's not good enough.
Right.
The only way that you can fix that problem is to have him play more, because that's how you learn. You can't say I'm wrong at all. The more you ride a bike, the better you ride it. You can start doing tricks and you start doing this and you start doing that. The more you do anything, the more you practice, the more you play, the better you are.
So who did Rodgers sit? Exactly. Who did Rodgers sit?
That's the one I was looking for.
Who did Rodgers sit behind? I'm just curious. Did he sit behind a Brett Rippon type?
Brett Favre.
Exactly.
Oh,
He sat behind a Brett, but not a Brett Rippon.
So what you're saying is we should go get a veteran quarterback for Locke to sit behind.
You mean like
No, I'm saying that if we had a veteran Hall of Fame quarterback and you drafted an up and comer that was going to sit, he was going to learn from a Hall of Fame quarterback.
you mean like
Well,
Osweiler?
Most veteron quarterbacks have
Rivers is
too much
probably
of an
gonna be-
ego to sit back as a back.
Phillip
Joe
Rivers.
Flacco
Phillip
was
Rivers is probably going to be available in the offseason, so go get him. He's going to be a Hall of
No.
Famer, and then let Locke sit behind him.
That
Joe
will
Flacco
never
doesn't want
happen.
to
Joe Flacco's not
roll
going
to
to be a Hall of
anybody.
Famer.
You double the population of Colorado if Rivers.
If he gets enough ballots, who knows?
Not Rivers.
I don't know.
That's not gonna happen.
Do we
We're
want
going to have to move into this week
Yeah, we'll
already.
move into the Miami game.
The speed round.
Pow. Yeah, family of 11.
Okay.
I'm sure he's working on another one.
I don't. Good Lord. I was going to make a comment, but that's not suitable for the podcast. So going into the Miami game, Miami's got top five.
Mike's idol, actually.
Huh?
He's your idol. your mentor.
Here's my idol. Miami's got a top five defense. So far, I haven't seen a lot out of Tua because he's been carried by the defense. He hasn't had to do much.
Yeah.
So I don't know how he's going to look. At the same time, I'm petrified because we don't have Shelby Harris yet.
Yeah.
And obviously he's the difference. Well, him and Purcell on the defensive line, because right now we're just getting run over everywhere. I want to keep saying that Miami doesn't stack up well to Denver, but everybody stacks up way better to Denver than I thought they would. I'm not. I don't know if I want to go into Miami because I'm not expecting a lot. And we don't even know who's starting. Like, is it Locke or is it Rippon?
That's probably not going to be made until like Saturday night.
Me personally, and it no, and this isn't like a talent thing; it's an injury thing. Like, if Locke is going to get pummeled against the Dolphins and crack a rib off of his already injured rib, don't put him in. Because then he's out for 3, 4, 5 games.
If that happens, that falls on coaching. If that happens, that falls on coaching because coaching made the choice to put him out there. So if he actually gets hurt a lot more than what he already is, then that falls on Vic Fangio.
So
his comment in his interview says the most to me, that he's going through the motions and saying he wants to go in because he doesn't want to get the hate of everybody saying, "Oh, he's garbage, he's out. The Broncos are just going to discard him." So he's saying he wants to go in, but it's not 100% up to him. So he's putting it back on the coaches.
That's kind of like with Fant's ankle. Like, Fant wants to play, but we could tell for the 2 games after he was out that his ankle was still bugging him.
Yeah.
But also no one is saying that Noah Fant is trash and let's get Rob Gronkowski and dump Fant.
Yeah. Ooh, we could take Rob Gronkowski, just don't dump Fant. Put him on the other side.
No, Gronkowski.
No, and this is completely like an injury thing. Like, I don't care, quarterback controversy, talent, I don't care. Like, if Drew Lock is going to get injured more for being in there, don't put him in.
No, of course not.
Because then that doesn't help anything.
Yeah.
Why didn't they pull him for injury in the game against the Raiders?
I don't know. I thought they would have.
Yeah, Rippon was warming up, so
because you don't know. Like, take Drew Brees for example. Like, he had a rib injury, but he didn't know how bad it was, so he just wore the guard. Turns out he had cracked ribs and a collapsed lung. Like, I don't know why they didn't pull Locke out.
And I think that has a lot to do with Locke. I think he wanted to stay in because he's trying to prove that he can do it, and that it just went against him because he's out there throwing and making bad decisions because he's hurting, obviously, and he's also got all this pressure on him to be the guy. He was just trying to make it happen.
Yeah, so. Drew Lock is in a position where if because he probably feels that if he says he's injured and he doesn't play, then people are going to use that against him. Like, you Denver, you drafted a guy who's always hurt and he can't play. So
Drew Lock is in like a Tyrod Taylor situation. Right now.
So it's either he I admire his guts and I admire his tenacity of going out there and trying to play. And I'd like to believe that 2 of those 4 interceptions last week were because of the injury, but I have no way to prove that. I can only hope that's the case. But going into
that's a whole nother discussion. Is like, even if he doesn't get more injured, like, do you really want him out there pulling his throws because he can't throw it fully? Like,
yeah,
that doesn't help. So, feelings aside against Locke and Rippon, if he's hurt, don't and he could get hurt more, don't play him.
Yeah. Against the game with Miami, the defense kind of concerns me. I'm talking about the Broncos defense. I feel AJ Bouye had a really bad game against the Raiders. He struggled a lot in coverage. Kareem Jackson, I don't know where that tenacity went that he had the last 2 games where he was knocking people's heads out. All of a sudden, he was kind of like absentee, so to speak.
What reason did Fangio give for not having Ojemudia in there? I didn't read that.
I didn't see the
I didn't hear anything
post game. I didn't see an injury designation.
He tried to explain it or something. Well, why do you not have Ojemudia in there?
Not for one play.
Yeah, he didn't play at all. And like, this game we've got Bosby back. So that's a pretty good starting 4.
And Harris is gone,
or at least a good rotate.
Harris is with the Ravens now.
Yeah, so Boye, Callahan, Ojemudia, and Bosby. I mean, that's not bad. And you can rotate Bosby and Ojemudia. I just
So to me, like
I-
it's either the coaches are making really, really bad decisions, or they're treating this whole season kind of like a test, and they're weeding out people.
Yeah.
And they're like they kept Ojemudia out maybe to see something else, you know.
All right, so let's I know we didn't hit a lot of Miami. Sorry, that's my fault. I was going in.
You threatened to climb up a Don and slap him.
Slap it. That's a long
I
time.
want to see you shimmy up.
I'm gonna get my dog on you. You're lucky she's sleeping.
I'll bring my dog. All right, so let's do score predictions for the Broncos Dolphins.
What do you even say right now? Like, we don't know who the quarterback. I mean, what are you gonna say?
I'm gonna say Denver 23-20. I might be a McManus game-winning kick.
All right, I'm updating records here.
I am going to say
Breathe deep, Christy. Breathe deep.
I don't care. The Dolphins are gonna win. It's gonna be close. They just they're on a roll right now. We're not on we're on the wrong roll, and we're going backwards, and we're figuring things out. The Dolphins are gonna win by like, I don't know, 3 points.
Okay. Ooh.
I think
Glenn, what you got?
I think the Dolphins 24-17, just because there's uncertainty about who's playing.
I mean, either way, either whoever's playing, I think it's going to be just about the same thing.
I think I'm going to do two different ones depending on who's starting at quarterback. I think if it's
So which one counts in the standings?
Yeah.
either one, because I'm going to pick Miami on both.
Okay.
Oh,
But I think if Locke plays, I want to say 28-17. If Rippon plays, I'm going to say 28-21. So 4 more points. But either way, I think Miami pulls it out. All right,
those
so
extra 4 points gets him a 5-year contract and
depends on how well he plays.
$80 million signing.
AFC West predictions. Glenn, you're still in the lead. We all went 1-1. 20-10, 6'10", 18-12. Christy 18-12. I'm at 16-14. Chargers and Jets. if anybody picks the Jets.
Chargers.
Yeah.
Chargers, of course.
Jets. Chiefs and Raiders. I gotta catch you. Chiefs and Raiders.
Okay, so if the Jets win and beat Herbert again, and they fall to 2-8, you still going to use him as the example in the next show? Never
Well,
mind.
I mean,
Go ahead.
if he throws for over 300 yards again, yeah.
Okay, Drew's thrown for a few. 300.
When?
He threw for 330 something yards a couple of games ago.
No.
Yes, he
250,
did.
225, 217.
I just want to share a funny story that I heard about the.
Hurry up, we
Chiefs.
got like 2 minutes.
Hey, not my fault. You took up all our airtime. The last time the Chargers and Raiders played, when the Raiders won, on their way out of the stadium, John Gruden thought it'd be a funny thing to do to drive the team bus around Arrowhead Stadium.
I thought that was
Kind of. Yeah, it was the Raiders driving around Arrowhead Stadium. Like, it was
Yeah.
just hilarious.
Oh.
Yeah.
So Chiefs Raiders.
Chiefs, no doubt.
Chiefs. I never picked the Raiders for nothing. I don't even care if they're going all the way. I'd never still pick them.
I'm somebody said something about a dog. Hold on. Oh, who has the yappy dog?
Yappy dog.
That'd be me.
I got my
So,
own yappy dog, and she's quiet today.
I'm babysitting my brother's dog, and
I'm going Raiders.
she gets easily startled.
Ew.
All right, so that's going to about do it. We're a little over time, but it's all right. We're awesome anyway, so who cares? Again, you can catch us live on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitter, and on Twitch. Make sure you follow us. Like and subscribe on YouTube. Follow us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter. MHRT Podcast. And we will, hopefully the game goes well. And we will talk to you in a couple days on our videos.
And thanks
Just
for
so you guys
everyone
know,
for,
we'll be streaming earlier next time to make up for the loss of the coverage of last time's game. You can blame Mike for that on his reaction video.
Yep.
And thanks for anyone who joined us today. We appreciate
Yeah.
the support.